All right, so you want to talk Canibus, huh?
That's right, one of the most complex lyricists hip-hop has ever seen.
Absolutely, and for a hip-hop head like you, this deep dive is going to be a treat, man. We're talking about a guy could hang with the very best, bar for bar.
Canibus is often cited as, a rapper's rapper, someone whose technical skill, vocabulary, next level.
Yeah.
But there's this fascinating tension in his career.
You mean like between the raw talent and then the way his career kind of unfolded? Because, yeah, that's what makes him such a fascinating figure in hip-hop. Right?
Yeah.
Like he was always on the edge of something huge, but then life, the industry, maybe even his own choices, took him down a different path.
Exactly. And to understand that, we got to go back to the beginning.
Okay, let's do it.
Canibus, born Germaine Williams, he had anything but a typical rapper's upbringing.
Right.
Born in Jamaica, moved constantly with his family. We're talking from the Bronx to London, all because of his mother's job.
So while other kids are, I don't know, learning nursery rhymes, like he's soaking up all these different cultures, languages, different ways of seeing the world even.
And you can hear that in his music.
Oh, yeah.
That unique perspective. Imagine that constant movement, always adapting, always observing. It's almost like his brain became this melting pot of rhythms and rhymes without him even realizing it.
And then, boom, he finds his voice through hip-hop, early 90s. First, it was forming the duo, THEM, right?
Right, and even then, his lyrical ability was clear.
Yeah.
But things, really took off, blew up in the hip-hop world when he appeared on LL Cool J's track, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here's where it gets really, really interesting, because this wasn't just some guest appearance. This sparked one of hip-hop's most, legendary feuds.
Oh, absolutely.
For our listener who might not know this story, break it down for us.
All right, so it all boils down to a line in Canibus's verse where he says, and I'm paraphrasing here, "Yo, LL, is that a mic on your arm? Let me borrow that." He was referencing LL's microphone tattoo.
Okay, so on the surface, you'd think, all right, playful jab, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little cocky for an up-and-comer.
Yeah.
But, come on, this is hip-hop. A little braggadocio is expected.
Exactly. But LL Cool J took it as a diss.
Oh, boy.
And fired back with his own verse on the track.
Wow.
To this day, people debate who was in the right or if it was all a big misunderstanding.
Yeah, misinterpretations happen all the time.
All the time.
But either way, you can bet people were hitting rewind on that track, trying to, dissect every word, every single word.
Yeah.
Did this help or hurt Canibus, though, ultimately?
It's hard to say for sure, but it definitely put him on the map.
Oh, yeah.
There he was, going toe-to-toe with, one of hip-hop's biggest names. That takes guts.
Absolutely.
And a whole lot of talent.
Speaking of talent, his debut album, Canibus, dropped in 1998. And, what an entrance. He had the hit Second Round KO, which, fun fact, features Mike Tyson in the music video.
Interesting parallel, right?
Yeah.
Tyson, the knockout king, alongside Canibus, already making a name for himself with his lyrical jabs.
Almost prophetic, given what we know about his life later on.
Right.
But tell me about the album. I feel like it really showed the world what he was capable of.
It was more than just battle raps, although he definitely brought the heat on those.
Yeah, he did.
Canibus tackled some serious issues, too.
Oh, yeah.
From government corruption to the AIDS epidemic.
Wow.
Remember, this is late 90s hip-hop. He was going deep.
Okay, so he's got the lyrical skill.
Yeah.
He's addressing real-world problems. He's got Mike Tyson in this video.
Yeah.
Seems like everything's coming up Canibus, right?
You'd think so, but this is the music industry we're talking about.
Right.
And as we know, it can be a fickle beast.
Oh, tell me about it.
His next album, 2000 BC, brought a whole new set of challenges.
It did, yeah. A lot of it stemmed from his falling out with Wyclef Jean.
Wyclef?
Yeah, Wyclef had produced a big chunk of Canibus, but during the making of 2000 BC, things went south, man.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Creative differences, ego clashes.
Yeah.
The world needs to know.
Honestly, it's hard to say for sure.
Okay.
But that tension, it spilled over into the music itself.
Right.
Canibus even dissed Wyclef on the title track. Not exactly subtle.
Ooh, public disses. Those rarely end well.
Right.
But hold on. This album also featured Canibus teaming up with Corrupt, Ross Cass, and Killa Priest for the first time.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Horse Mentality?
Yeah.
That track had everyone buzzing, man. People were convinced a supergroup was in the works at the Four Horsemen.
And they were right to be excited. You're talking about some of the most skilled lyricists in the game all together. What happened? Why didn't we get that album?
It's one of those hip-hop mysteries, scheduling conflicts, creative differences. Again, who knows?
Right.
They did release an EP of kind of like outtakes in 2003, but a full album never materialized.
Man, what could have been? That's such a missed opportunity. But okay, back to Canibus. He's got 2 albums under his belt. Public Feud, a supergroup that never quite launched. Where does he go from here?
Well, he released See True Hollywood Stories, which, got people talking.
Yeah.
But then he made a decision that shocked pretty much everyone.
Okay.
He enlisted.
No way. He joined the U.S. Army.
He did join the U.S. Army.
Now, this is what I find so fascinating about Canibus, right? You've got this, incredibly talented, complex artist at the top of his game, and he just walks away from it all to join the military. What do you think was going through his head?
It's gotta be deeper than just wanting a change of pace, right?
Right.
Remember, this is 2002, just a year after 9/11. The world, America especially, was a different place.
For sure.
Maybe he felt a sense of duty, a need to serve his country, but in a tangible way.
You know what it makes me think about? The parallels between being a soldier and being like a wordsmith.
Oh, interesting.
Both require discipline, strategy, a certain kind of, mental toughness.
Absolutely. And don't forget that Mike Tyson connection from the second round KO video.
Oh, right.
Tyson the fighter, Canibus, the, lyrical warriors. It was always this element of combat present in his music, but now it was taking on this whole new meaning.
Wow. So did he abandon music completely during his service?
Not entirely, no. He'd actually recorded an album's worth of material before enlisting.
Wow.
And he handed those tapes over to producer Stoop, the Enemy of Mankind,
Good.
who then built the beats around Canibus's vocals. And the result, Rip the Jacker.
Wow.
One of his most critically acclaimed albums.
That's dedication. Knowing that you're shipping off to basic training, but still finding time to, lay down those tracks next level. What's the vibe like on Rip the Jacker? Do you hear that military influence at all?
Oh, absolutely. There's this raw, almost battle-hardened energy to it. You can tell that he's on the cusp of this major life change, and it just seeps into the music.
That's wild. It's like his subconscious knew what was coming, and it just infused the music with this extra layer of intensity. It's a side of Canibus we hadn't really heard before.
You're right. And to think he had a mic club, the curriculum drop right before enlisting, which featured all these different producers, some even from Europe. It's like he was already exploring these new sonic landscapes, testing the waters before this huge life shift.
It's almost like he needed to clear his artistic palette before stepping into this new world, this new challenge. But how did his military service ultimately impact his music once he returned? Did it change his approach, his themes, his style?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it leads us to some of his most, interesting work, albums that really make you think about his journey, what he was trying to achieve as an artist.
So we left off with Canibus at this really interesting crossroads, back from serving his country, ready to jump back into music. What's next for him?
Well, his first album back is Mind Control, but it's not considered his strongest work, even by him.
Okay, so not exactly a triumphant return then.
Not really, no. Most of the material was actually recorded before See True Hollywood Stories. Seems like he released it to fulfill a contract.
The record label hustle, right?
Exactly.
Been there, done that. But he followed that up with Hip Hop for Sale, right?
Mm-hmm.
That title alone feels like a statement, man.
Right. Almost like he's challenging the industry or commenting on the state of hip-hop. But even with the provocative title, it didn't get the attention he might have hoped for.
That's a shame.
It is. Ironically, a mixtape he dropped around the same time, The Vitruvian Man, actually landed better with fans and critics.
That's got to sting a little bit.
Yeah.
But even so, it shows that he's still experimenting, still putting his music out there, not backing down.
Yeah.
And he hadn't given up on collaborations either. What about his work with Phoenix Orion? That always stood out to me.
Absolutely. They formed Cloak and Daga, dropped DEF CON 0 in 2005. It was pure underground hip-hop.
Oh, I love that.
Dark, gritty, and lyrically dense, man. They played off each other's strengths really well.
See, I love that he never stopped pushing those boundaries, always trying new things, but he was far from done with his solo career. In 2007, he released For Whom the Beat Tolls, which felt like a return to form for sure.
It did, and it included something truly epic.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Poet Laureate Infinity. Over 1,000 bars of pure cannabis.
No way.
Complex rhyme schemes, intricate wordplay, the whole 9 yards.
I remember hearing that track for the first time, and it's like witnessing a lyrical marathon Except this marathon requires a dictionary and maybe a science textbook to fully appreciate it.
And get this, he released 2 different mixes of it, designed to be layered so they could be mixed and remixed, creating like a unique experience every time you listen.
Now that's next level. Most artists are happy to just get like one version of a song right, and he's creating this whole multi-layered sonic experience. He was always thinking ahead.
Exactly. And that innovative spirit continued through his later albums like Melatonin Magic and Sea of Tranquility, both released in 2010.
What were they like? Did they carry on that same lyrical intensity?
They did, but with a more, I think, mature, introspective vibe.
Okay.
Melatonin Magic was more focused, personal even, and featured some guest appearances, which was pretty rare for Canibus at that point.
Interesting.
And then Sea of Tranquility brought in some big-name producers like DJ Premier, Jake One. Talk about range.
Working with someone like DJ Premier says a lot.
Yeah.
He could have easily stayed in his lane, but this shows a willingness to collaborate, blend his style with someone known for a completely different sound.
Absolutely. And through it all, he never compromised his lyrical integrity.
Yeah.
He stayed true to himself, even if it meant maybe, not always topping the charts.
And that's the thing about Canibus, right? He's going to do Canibus no matter what. You got to respect that. But for all his studio albums, his collaborations, a lot of people know him for his venture into battle rap, which, well, let's just say it didn't quite go as planned.
The infamous disaster battle. Yeah, it became the stuff of legends.
I think everyone watching that was both hyped, but also a little worried.
Oh.
Could a lyricist, known for his intricate wordplay, complex metaphors, could he hold his own in a freestyle battle?
It's a different skill set,
It really is.
Battle rap, it's about punchlines, crowd work, thinking on your feet, not really Canibus's forte.
And it showed. It's almost like he overthought it, But you know what? Even though it didn't go his way, you've got to admire him for trying something new, for stepping out of his comfort zone.
I agree. Not many artists at his level would put themselves out there like that. Shows a certain fearlessness, a willingness to test his limits, even if it means a few stumbles along the way.
Which maybe is the ultimate lesson we can take from Canibus's, let's face it, wild ride of a career. Never be afraid to experiment, to evolve, even if it means, risking failure. Because sometimes those risks lead to the most incredible discoveries.
Well said. Canibus' story is a good reminder that an artist's journey is, well, it's never linear. There will be detours, unexpected turns, maybe even a notepad pulled out mid-rap battle. But it's those moments that make the journey interesting. And ultimately, it's about the music, right?
It always is. And, for all the twists and turns in his journey, one thing remained constant. Canibus's dedication to his craft. He never stopped creating, experimenting, pushing the boundaries of what hip-hop could be.
Yeah.
He may not be for everyone, but his impact on the game, undeniable.
Absolutely. He's a reminder that sometimes the most interesting artists aren't the ones chasing trends, but the ones forging their own path. And Canibus, for better or for worse, always did things his own way.
And on that note, we wrap up this deep dive into the one and only Canibus. We hope you enjoyed this journey through his career as much as we did. Until next time, keep exploring those artists who dare to be different and keep the music playing.